The new C63S makes a whole lot more horsepower than the old one. But is it worth not having the V8? So we now know the specs on the new C63S, and it is an absolute monster. First and foremost, it's making 671 horsepower and 752 pound-feet of torque. Supposedly it's gonna go 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. Now this is just absurd, first of all, for a four-door to be able to do. Ever since I worked at Mercedes, I had a pretty great appreciation for what the people at AMG can do. They can pull off some pretty crazy stuff. But this is the first time the C63 has not had a V8, and to be honest, I can't help but feel like the car's probably lost some character because of that. So what it has instead is a turbocharged 4-cylinder from the CLA 45 and the GLA 45. But this has an electronically assisted turbocharger, giving it more horsepower. 469 to be exact. And where the rest of the horsepower comes from is an electric motor that's assisting it along the way. Overall, this thing has well over 600 horsepower and all-wheel drive. And the performance is really impressive, to be completely honest. But I can't help but wonder, why couldn't they just put a naturally aspirated V8 in there that's a hybrid? With all the emission stuff that's going on right now and how everybody's downsizing, I can't help but wonder how Lexus can put a naturally aspirated V8 in their IS 500, but Mercedes can't put a V8 in their C63 anymore. Yes, 4-cylinders are more fuel efficient than V8s for the most part, but I still don't understand why they couldn't just take a naturally aspirated V8, make that hybridized, and then put that into the C63. So back when I worked at Mercedes, I got to drive an E63 S, and this one in particular had the 6.3 liter back when, you know, 63 meant something. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a huge V8 guy, but that was one of the best sounding V8s I'd ever heard. And because of that, I can't help but feel kind of sad that there's no more V8 in the C63. I don't know, I kind of question AMG's decision on this. I feel like it would have been a whole lot less complicated just to take a V8, hybridize that, and then put that into the C63. It would have sounded awesome. And another downside to all this hybridization of the 4-cylinder and all that is the new car weighs like 4,600 pounds. The old one weighed about 4,100. So with all, you chopped off 4 cylinders and a turbo and still happened to gain 500 pounds over the outgoing model. I'm not sure this is progress. But not only that, but I feel like the AMGs aren't just supposed to be these insane machines that you can just drive from A to B. Yes, they're supposed to be fast, but I feel like there's supposed to be more to them than that. Now, in terms of looks, I think this is probably the best C-Class I've ever seen. The bodywork is really sleek, it looks really aggressive without being too much. And I've never been a huge fan of the Mercedes-Benz, you know, body style, the kind of silhouette that their cars take, but this one makes it look really nice. And as always, nobody does an interior like Mercedes. But I can't help but think that maybe Mercedes is jumping the gun a little bit too much here. You know, I feel like they could have kept the V8 around a bit longer, and at the very least put their new inline 6 into it. That would have been really sweet. They've got their new inline 6 engine in the GT43 and GT53, and they work really well in those. I've actually driven the, I think it was a 53, and it was really, really nice. It wasn't like insanely fast, but it was quick. And I feel like perhaps they could have used, if they needed to downsize, they could have used the 6-cylinder instead of a 4-cylinder. Now, I love 4-cylinders. I'll say that right now. I love 4-cylinder turbos. My Eclipse has a 4-cylinder turbo, and it's a ton of fun. It's taught me everything I know about, you know, working on cars and modifying cars and building cars. But I also recognize that a turbo 4-cylinder doesn't need to be put into everything. There's a place for the small engines, but there's also a place for the big engines. At least, I hope there is. But, as always, who cares what I think? I want to know what you guys have to say. Do you think it's worth it pushing the C63 platform forward with a turbo 4-cylinder? Or do you think they should have stuck with the V8 a little bit longer? As always, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe. That'd be super, super cool. But I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next video.